Hi everyone, welcome to The Forest. I'm here with Laura DeCipio from Westside Dog Training. Thank you for being part of the course.
You're very welcome.
And we also have a guest with us.
Vino.
Vino, say hi to everybody. Pa? Oh, you did it, buddy. Laura, I'm so stoked to have you here. I think your story and your interaction with the law from our very first conversation was really interesting to me, and I think it's a good opportunity for everyone who's listening, either at home or in the bathtub or wherever people are following this on their electronic device, can really benefit from hearing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Westside Dog Training and your decision to interact with the law and how you were proactive in doing so.
Great, well thank you so much. I love being here with you and the pups in nature. This is amazing. Well, dogs, we all love them. And I think there really is like a soulful connection with them. And that's what really drew me to dogs and working with people, is they're social creatures. And so are we too. Like, we thrive off meeting other amazing people, sharing genuine connections. So that's really what drives me in my work with people and dogs. And through my experience, I really wanted contracts and waivers and the legal documents to have the same heart-centered voice that I do, and really further those connections with people and dogs. Because I found out I was having these amazing conversations with people, learning about them and their dogs, and they really let me into their life. It's such a personal relationship. And then we would get to all the forms and contracts, and it would just feel like I was kind of putting up this wall between us, and it really didn't feel like anything authentic. So I really wanted to be able to let people know there are some real risks when we work with dogs.
Yeah.
We're out in the forest. You know, you can trip, things can happen, but I wanted to explain those in a way that were really authentic too, because that's what it's all about. So not creating these barriers between us, but contracts that could actually kind of bring us closer in a way.
How does the relationship transform when you go from having a document where you've put a wall up and you're creating a separation to as something that's much more open and loving and truly communicative of your expectations in that particular relationship?
Wow, I think it's so much. I don't think I realized it until I was really using the more generic ones. It wasn't something I ever wanted to spend time on my business on. I never loved the accounting and the forms, so whatever was quickest and easiest, that worked for me in the moment. But now that I'm sending these, as soon as we started working together, it got me really, really excited about sharing more with clients, because setting them up, these are what your expectations are, these are what my expectations are. I think it really brings more honesty to it, and it actually, in the end, really helps me help people and dogs more, because they can really tell me this is what's going on, and then I can kind of set them up legally.
Perfect. And we'll just talk a little bit about your services agreements that we drafted together, because I think there's a lot of cool things that we did that I think everyone who's listening can learn about.
Oh yeah.
One of the concepts, we're trying to make law practical here. So I'm not saying you have to go to read the piece of legislation and understand all the specifics. A lot of the times it's just choosing things that are important to you and saying to someone hey, this is important to me, and if you have an issue with it, let me know before we start working together. And just as an example, we put in the social media clause, which is totally a creation. But it was something that it's important for you to build your business by highlighting your clients and sharing their stories and getting the appropriate permission from them to do so. And why was that important to you?
Well, I love this idea of putting everything out there first. Really, when we started working together, it was actually an opportunity first for me to decide what are the most important things when I'm working with people. And I got really clear on those. So the social media was one. Integrity is really important, and how we value time. Getting clear on what was really important for me, that was a great foundation. And then being able to write that in language that I could share with potential clients and say, hey, this is what's important to me. Do you share these values? And if you do, then we make an amazing match. So we get to get all those things out to start with. And it's really been amazing actually in finding clients that value those things, and it lights them up too.
And there was also something we put in about boundaries, which I loved, where you're a solo entrepreneur, you run things yourself, and the reality is maybe you'll get sick sometime, or you won't be able to make it, or you'll get a flat tire, or whatever happens in life. And just communicating that up front to be like, hey, I'm only human. I'm going to try my best. There's one of me. I'm very unique. I'm very special. I'm very talented. But just going into this, understand that I'm going to try my best, but there may be an instance where things don't work out as we plan.
Absolutely. And I loved working through that process too. Boundaries are, I think, important in all our personal relationships. But even further, I think that when I put that in and I get to have that conversation with my clients too, it lets them know that I realize they're human too. And this is a process, and we're working with dogs. And it's kind of a self-discovery process too. We're learning new skills. And every day our energy changes, situations might be different, and we're learning. So if things come up with my clients, I want them to feel comfortable letting me know what's going on with them, and that I get that they're real humans too.
And being human and interacting with the law, it is a fun process, wouldn't you say?
I was surprised, yes.
Yeah, it can.
It was absolutely fun.
It's totally fun, and what I love about having worked with you and what I want to share with everyone is that there doesn't need to be this intense formality to what you're doing with the law. There doesn't need to be words that you don't understand. At the end of the day, what we did with Laura was, hey, this is what I'm comfortable with. These are the boundaries that I'm putting up. And if you're interested in working together as a result, let me know, because I'm going to be so open and honest and transparent and loving with who I am. And if this resonates with you, awesome, then we'll work together. And if not, it probably isn't the right fit and we shouldn't do it. But again, something like a social media clause is something that we just created together by understanding what Laura was trying to do with her business. And you don't necessarily need to work with a lawyer or pay lots of money to have someone do this for you. You can just figure out on paper, like you said, getting clear about what's important to you in your relationships and just communicating that to other people.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
Oh, come. Oh, come. So now we've been joined by Lexi. Is everything okay? Lexi, sit, Pop, sit. We've swapped out Vino for Lexi. Lexi, say hi to everybody at home. This is a great time. Laura, we did a service agreement and we also did your waiver.
We did, yes.
And like, you're right, we're in the forest and there are so many different things that could possibly happen when you're out with other people's dogs, and dogs mean so much to people. Why was having a waiver that you understood and that reflected your brand and your personality and your services important to you?
Well, I think you hit on it, that it's really a personal thing. When someone trusts you with their dog and someone lets you into their life too, it's amazing. And so what I wanted to let people know was, yeah, there are possible risks that can happen when I take your dog, but as well as when you do too. And they're not all big scary risks, but you know, you're running through the forest, you might trip and fall, sprain your own ankle. You could be with your dog and they could do the same. So I really wanted people to know that, because knowing and having clear expectations really helps people know what to expect. And then you can be prepared.
Definitely. And there's also a fairness element to waivers. That's how I've always felt about them. It's like, look, and there is a 4-step process that we've created that we share in the lesson that we do on waivers. But what happens is it's being fair to someone and saying like, look, this is what's happening. These are the activities that we're going to participate in. This is what can happen as a result of participating in those activities. You can choose, like voluntarily, you can choose to participate. But once you know what we're doing and you know what can happen from what we're doing, and you're voluntarily doing so, then you are releasing me from all responsibility in doing so. And I think it's just fair because it's open and honest communication. And again, it's all about giving people a choice. Maybe if people don't want to participate, or they don't want the risk of, tripping in the forest, then don't go to the forest, or don't give me your dog to go to the forest. In terms of now is shifting to waivers, and we speak about drafting waivers for something like dog services, it's quite unique because we don't directly communicate with dogs. We don't understand exactly how they're thinking, and their behavior can be unpredictable. So what was the importance of having a waiver that reflected or communicated your approach to that relationship, and why did you need it in writing in that way?
Well, I think what I really wanted the waiver for was to let people know that we will do everything we can. So I, as an individual, take every step that I can to make sure that dogs are safe when we go on adventures, when we go outside, but the world has risks to it. And because dogs are such an emotional part of our lives, they really are like our best friends.
Yeah.
It's important to me that people know that not everything is always rainbows and sunshine, and accidents do happen. You know, you're driving a car in the morning, things can happen.
Sure.
So it's important for me to be really clear and upfront with my clients and let them know what's going on, and then have them be able to take that risk on themselves, so that in the event that something does happen, they know that they did everything they could and I did everything I could to make sure that everyone would be set up. So it really makes everyone feel good throughout the process, but in the event that something does go horribly wrong, it does make everyone feel a lot better.
And I think that concept of things going horribly wrong, a lot of the times in waivers, there's a question of like whether or not you include the word death, right? Like, oh, and it's possible by doing this random, seemingly innocuous activity, you may die. But you're right, like life happens, and it's an uncomfortable question to confront, and it's a challenging issue to think, oh, I'm on a Sunday, I'm just going for a walk with a group of dogs, and I'm expecting everything to be normal, but something really could happen that's quite traumatic. But also, like, it is possible. And we're not fear-mongers, and we're not saying, like, the world is a dark, scary, awful place. Bad things will always happen. But, like, it's sort of like life. Good things happen and bad things happen. And I think being legally protected is important as a business owner. And also just being real with people and saying, like, there's a possibility something may happen.
Absolutely. I think you're right, that it's life. And it's not a fear-mongering perspective, but sometimes that perspective does let you see which risks you want to take and which ones may be a little bit too risky. So I think in some ways there's a lot of freedom that comes with that too.
For sure. There's freedom and it's respect. And I think you're respecting someone by saying, like, we're going on a group dog walk together. These are the things that could happen. If you're uncomfortable with that, don't sign this piece of paper. Don't come along and, have a wonderful day doing whatever it is that you're choosing to do. But just know that if you're coming with us, this is how we roll. These are the expectations, and it's always a choice.
Absolutely. And the community too, having everyone on the same page, everyone knowing what you're doing and being prepared for all those risks. It's the sort of we're all in it together.
We're all in it together. I love it. A lot of the people who are listening and watching either are starting a business, have started a business, or maybe have an idea or are in an idea and want to change to something else. It's very clear, like, you are doing what you love.
Thank you.
You love pups. You connect very, very well with them. You're a behavioralist.
Yeah,
so
they light up my life.
they light up your life, and we love being lit up, and it's all about heart-leading business owners. Do you have any advice to someone who may be watching, wherever they're watching, about what it's like running a heart-leading business and being lit up every day?
Wow, being lit up every day. It's amazing. I think there's something really freeing and very magical about doing something that lights us up, but also brings joy to others. And it's a little bit selfish that I get to work with dogs every day because I love them. But through that, the real magic is getting to see owners with their dogs and getting the relationships that they want and getting to experience the amazing behaviors and connections that they do with their dogs. So if there's anyone on the fence or thinking about it at all, follow your heart. I think I've always known dogs were part of my life more than just a little piece. And it's easy for us to ignore that, to follow different paths. But really, there's no greater joy than doing something you love. And when it brings joy to others, that's amazing.
We love it. I also, the one thing that I will say to you is that it's not selfish. That really isn't being selfish. Doing something that you love, being passionate about your business, making a positive impact in people's lives, and like just the side effect that you love doing that and it makes you feel fulfilled and wonderful, that's not being selfish. So I'm going to correct you on that. I'm calling you out on that.
Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful. What, you could be in an office and be completely miserable.
Oh, that's true. But I think there's maybe some magic in when we find things that we love. There's something that can also turn that into benefit for others. So when we really follow what it is that brings us alive, then we've got more light to spread around.
Cool. Let's share the light. Lexi, you've done so well.
She's so quiet.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Lexi, we worked on drafting her agreements a while ago, and she's just super comfortable with them. So she's just carefree and relaxed, as we want you guys to be. So, Laura, thank you so much. You're awesome.
Well, thank you so
Great
much.
hanging out. Great to be in the forest. Great to be with pups.
Oh, this is the most magical place in the world.
Magic. A lot of magic.